Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak into your spirit a message that has the power to shift the trajectory of your life. Too many people live beneath their calling, not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack focus, and they fail to value themselves the way God has designed them to. You see, life is not about how much you run, it's about what direction you're running in. If you're running in circles, you'll stay tired but never reach your destination. But if you focus, even a slow, steady walk will get you further than sprinting aimlessly. Focus is power. It's like lights. Scattered light brightens a room, but focused light becomes a laser that can cut through steel. In the same way, your energy, your gifts, and your time must be focused if you want to cut through obstacles and step into destiny. So many people fail not because they don't have potential, but because they allow their energy to be scattered across too many things that don't matter. It's time to focus, but focus alone is not enough. You must value yourself. The way you treat yourself sets the pattern for how others will treat you. If you don't respect your own time, don't be surprised when others waste it. If you don't value your gifts, don't be shocked when others take them for granted. You are constantly teaching the world how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. And here's the truth. You are valuable, not because of what you produce, not because of what you accomplish, but because of who you are. You were created with worth before you ever achieved anything. Distractions will always show up on your path. They come disguised as opportunities, as noise, as endless busyness. The enemy doesn't need to steal your gifts. He just needs to keep you distracted so you never use them. But you have to decide, will you spend your life reacting to distractions, or will you focus on destiny? Every yes to a distraction is a no to your future. It's time to take your focus back. And let me remind you, your worth is not in your job title, your bank account, or your achievements. Those things can rise and fall, but your identity remains unshaken. You are valuable simply because you exist, because you are created with purpose, because you carry a unique assignment that no one else can fulfill. Stop measuring your worth by external applause and start affirming it from within. When you truly value yourself, you begin to invest in yourself. You read, you learn, you grow, you take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. That's not selfish, that's stewardship, because when you grow, everything connected to you grows. Your family, your community, your business, your influence. Everything expands when you expand. The best gift you can give the world is the healthiest, most focused version of yourself. And finally, when focus and self-vow, you come together, you align yourself with divine purpose. You stop living small and start stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. You no longer chase validation because you realize you already have it. You no longer waste time on distractions because you know your time is too precious. You live with intention, clarity, and boldness. So I came to tell you today, it's time to focus. It's time to cut away the noise. It's time to stop undervaluing yourself. You are not an accident, you are not ordinary, and you are not replaceable. Value yourself because your destiny depends on it. Focus because your future is waiting. And as you align with who you truly are, you will see doors open, opportunities multiply, and your life overflow with impact. Focus is the key that unlocks clarity, and clarity is the foundation of progress. Without focus, life becomes a scattered collection of activity with no true direction. Many people mistake being busy for being productive. They run from one task to another, answering every call, chasing every opportunity, saying yes to every demand, and at the end of the day, they feel exhausted yet unfulfilled. Why? Because energy without focus is like water spilled on the ground. It spreads everywhere but nourishes nothing. But when you channel that same energy with focus, it becomes like a river, powerful and unstoppable, carving valleys and moving mountains in its path. Clarity always begins with focus. When you focus, you strip away the noise and distractions that pull you in 100 different directions. Think about a magnifying glass. If you hold it up to the sun, Nothing happens until you focus it. But once the light is concentrated, it can ignite a fire. The sun didn't change. The light was always there. What changed was the focus. The same is true for your life. The potential has always been inside you. The strength, the creativity, the calling. They've been there all along, but without focus, that power remains dormant. With focus, that same power ignites, and suddenly what once seemed impossible begins to burn with possibility. The reason so many people feel stuck is not because they lack ability, but because they lack clarity. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. When your focus is blurred, your aim is scattered, and your results are inconsistent. But the moment you gain clarity about what matters most, every step you take gains power. Focus simplifies decision making because you no longer waste energy debating what is worthy of your time. If it doesn't serve your purpose, if it doesn't align with your vision, if it doesn't honor your values, then it's not worthy of your attention. Focus is the filter that protects your energy and preserves your destiny, but focus doesn't come easily. The world is filled with distractions designed to pull you off course. Notifications, entertainment, endless tasks, other people's opinions, all of these compete for your attention every single day. If you don't take control of your focus, something else will. That's why focus is not something you find, it's something you choose. It's a discipline. It's saying no to the urgent so you can say yes to the important. It's refusing to give your energy to things that drain you and instead investing it into things that grow you. Focus is the ability to lock your eyes on the vision ahead and not allow the noise around you to dictate your path. When you begin to focus, you'll also notice something powerful happening: momentum. Focused effort, even in small amounts, compounds over time. Imagine dripping water on a stone. One drop doesn't seem to make a difference, but over time, consistent drops carve through the rock. That's what focus does in your life. Even the smallest consistent actions, when aimed in the right direction, create lasting transformation. Many people underestimate the power of focus because they're looking for instant results. But transformation doesn't come from doing a lot once. It comes from doing the right thing consistently. Another truth about focus is that it brings peace. A scattered life is an anxious life. When your mind is divided between too many things, you constantly feel overwhelmed. But when you focus, you release that stress. You no longer feel pulled in 1,000 directions because you know exactly where your energy is going. Focus is freedom. It frees you from chaos and confusion and anchors you in clarity and confidence. Focusing also means valuing your time. Time is the most precious resource you have, and yet it is the one most people waste. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. When you focus, you treat your time like treasure. You spend it intentionally, you invest it wisely, and you refuse to waste it on things that do not align with your purpose. That mindset alone can change the entire trajectory of your life, because your future is being shaped by how you spend your time today. Ultimately, focus is about alignment. It's about aligning your actions with your vision, your energy with your purpose, your habits with your goals. When your life is aligned, progress feels natural. Doors begin to open, not because life got easier, but because you stopped scattering your energy and started channeling it. That is the power of focus. It doesn't add more hours to your day, but it multiplies the impact of the hours you already have. So it's time to stop scattering your energy on distractions that don't serve you. It's time to stop confusing busyness with productivity. It's time to stop trying to do everything and start focusing on what truly matters. Because clarity begins with focus, and when you focus, you gain the power to create the life you were designed to live. Focus is not a suggestion. It is the difference between wandering aimlessly and walking boldly into your destiny. The way you value yourself sets the standard for how the world responds to you. Every relationship, every opportunity, every connection you experience is influenced by the way you perceive your own worth. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will tolerate mistreatment. If you see yourself as average, you will accept mediocrity. But when you recognize your true value, you begin to walk with a different posture. You speak differently, you make decisions differently, and you attract a higher standard of people and opportunities into your life. It's not arrogance to value yourself. It's alignment. You were created with inherent worth, and when you honor that worth, you are simply agreeing with truth. Tragedy is that many people allow the world to tell them what they're worth. They let circumstances, failures, or the opinions of others dictate their value. But here's the truth: your worth does not fluctuate with your performance. You are not more valuable when you succeed and less valuable when you fail. Your value is fixed because it comes from who you are, not from what you do. When you begin to value yourself, you send a message to everyone around you. You show them what you will accept and what you will not. If you don't respect your own time, people will waste it. If you don't respect your own boundaries, people will cross them. If you don't honor your own gifts, people will take them for granted. But when you stand in the truth of your worth, you raise the standard of how others must treat you. And more importantly, you raise the standard of how you treat yourself. Valuing yourself is not just about demanding respect from others. It's about giving respect to yourself. It's about taking care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. It's about speaking life to yourself instead of repeating negative words that diminish you. It's about investing in your growth instead of always pouring out for everyone else while neglecting your own development. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot lead others to value you if you constantly devalue yourself. Think about this. People often say they want others to believe in them, yet they spend their days doubting themselves. They want others to recognize their potential, yet they refuse to recognize it themselves. Life has a way of reflecting back to you what you believe about yourself. If you believe you are small, life will confirm that belief. But if you believe you are significant, life will begin to open doors that match that belief. The key is not waiting for the world to affirm you. It's affirming yourself first. Valuing yourself also means being selective with your environment. You cannot stay in places that drain you and expect to thrive. When you recognize your value, you stop entertaining relationships that diminish you, jobs that suffocate you, and environments that stifle your growth. You start surrounding yourself with people and places that align with the greatness inside you. It doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It means you understand the responsibility of stewarding your life. Just as you wouldn't place a diamond in a trash can, you don't place yourself in situations that devalue your worth. Sometimes the greatest act of valuing yourself is saying no. No to overcommitment. No to toxic relationships. No to the expectations that others try to impose on you. Every no to something that devalues you as a yes to something that aligns with your true worth. And when you begin to honor those yeses, you create space for opportunities that match who you really are. Another truth about self-value is that it shifts your energy. When you value yourself, you carry yourself differently. You walk into a room with quiet confidence, not arrogance, but certainty. You don't beg for attention because your presence speaks for itself. People notice when someone has a strong sense of self-worth, and they respond accordingly. Opportunities often come not because someone is the most talented, but because they carry themselves with a sense of undeniable value. Valuing yourself also sets you free from comparison. When you know your worth, you don't need to compete with others. You realize that their success does not diminish yours, and your uniqueness means you can never truly be compared. Comparison is the enemy of confidence, but value creates security. When you value yourself, You stop trying to be like everyone else and start embracing the uniqueness of your design. At the core, valuing yourself is about agreement. It's about agreeing with the truth that you were created with purpose, with significance, with greatness. It's about refusing to believe the lies that tell you otherwise. When you value yourself, you align with that truth, and life begins to align with you. People treat you differently, opportunities shift in your favor, doors open that once seemed closed, not because the world changed, but because you did. So I say to you, stop waiting for others to set your value. Stop waiting for the applause, the recognition, the validation. Start valuing yourself today. Respect your time, protect your boundaries, nurture your gifts, speak life over yourself. Because when you value yourself, the world has no choice but to follow your lead. Distractions are one of the greatest enemies of destiny. They don't always come in the form of obvious temptations or destructive habits. Sometimes they come disguised as opportunities, as busyness, as things that seem important in the moment, but carry no lasting value. The truth is, most people are not destroyed by outright failure. They are delayed, derailed, and drained by distractions. If the enemy can't stop you, he will try to divert you. He doesn't have to take away your talent or silence your voice. He just has to keep you too busy chasing things that don't matter, so you never make progress on the things that do. Distractions pull your focus away from purpose. Imagine trying to run a race while turning your head left and right at every sound. Even if you're fast, you'll stumble or slow down because your attention isn't fixed on the finish line. Life works the same way. Every time you allow yourself to be pulled into something outside of your purpose, you lose momentum. And the dangerous part is, distractions don't always feel like distractions. Sometimes they feel urgent, sometimes they feel necessary, and sometimes they even feel rewarding. But urgency doesn't equal importance, and activity doesn't equal progress. Without discernment, you can spend years running in circles and mistake it for forward motion. One of the ways distractions gain power is by appealing to your emotions. They play on your fear of missing out, your need for approval, your desire to please others. Someone calls, and you immediately answer because you don't want to disappoint them, even though you were in the middle of doing something important. A new opportunity comes up, and you jump on it without asking if it aligns with your purpose, simply because it feels exciting. Slowly, you begin to build a life filled with commitments and noise that do not contribute to your destiny. This is why boundaries are essential. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are guardrails to keep you on the path toward your purpose. Without them, distractions will own your time and energy. There is also a subtle kind of distraction that comes from comparison. When you spend your energy watching what others are doing, you lose sight of your own assignment. You begin to measure your progress by their milestones, and in doing so, you wander away from the path meant for you. Comparison is one of the enemy's favorite distractions because it doesn't feel harmful. It feels like motivation. But in reality, it robs you of focus, drains your confidence, and keeps you from fully embracing your own lane. The truth is, no one else can walk your path, and you can't walk theirs. When you focus on your purpose, you stop being distracted by theirs. Another dangerous distraction comes in the form of comfort. Progress requires discomfort, stretching, learning, risking, growing. But distractions often whisper, "Stay where you are, it's safer here." Instead of stepping into the unknown, you cling to familiarity. And while it feels safe, it keeps you small. Comfort is a silent distraction because it convinces you that staying still is wise, when in reality, it is stealing your growth. Every great destiny requires movement beyond comfort, and every distraction will try to keep you from taking that step. To overcome distractions, you must first recognize them. Awareness is power. Begin asking yourself, does this contribute to my purpose or take me from it? Does this align with who I want to become, or does it keep me in the same place? Is this a true priority or just noise demanding attention? When you ask these questions, you begin to see distractions for what they are, thieves of your time, energy, and destiny. And once you recognize a thief, you no longer entertain it. It also takes discipline to protect your focus. Discipline says, I don't chase every call, every text, every idea. I guard my energy like treasure because I know my destiny depends on it. Discipline isn't easy. It requires sacrifice. But the fruit of discipline is clarity, and clarity produces results. Every great achievement is the result of someone who was willing to say no to distractions so they could say yes to purpose. Remember this, not everything that looks good is good for you. Not every open door is your door. Not every opportunity is your opportunity. Some things are simply detours dressed up as blessings. Without focus, you'll waste years on detours. With focus, you'll stay on the path that leads to destiny. Distractions will never stop coming. The world is full of noise, and the enemy will never stop trying to pull you off course. But you get to decide where your attention goes. You get to decide if you will waste years reacting to distractions or if you will lock your eyes on your vision and refuse to be moved. The moment you take back control of your focus, you take back control of your destiny. Because distractions may delay you, but only your decision can defeat you. The company you keep shapes the person you become. Who you surround yourself with has a direct influence on your mindset, your habits, your values, and ultimately your destiny. You cannot spend the majority of your time with people who don't believe in growth and expect yourself to grow. You cannot constantly be around negativity and expect to live with joy. You cannot keep company with people who live in fear and expect to walk in faith. Environment is everything, and relationships are the soil in which your purpose is planted. If the soil is toxic, your potential will never flourish the way it was designed to. Every relationship carries a voice, and every voice is planting seeds. Some people plant seeds of encouragement, while others plant seeds of doubt. Some plant seeds of faith, while others plant seeds of fear. Without realizing it, you begin to harvest whatever has been planted in your heart and mind through constant exposure. This is why discernment is so critical. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay, and not everyone who stays is meant to go where you are going. There are people assigned to your destiny, and there are people assigned to distract you from it. Knowing the difference determines the quality of your future. Sometimes the hardest part of valuing yourself is learning to let go of relationships that no longer align with where you're headed. Loyalty can be a beautiful trait, but misplaced loyalty can be destructive. Staying connected to people out of guilt, fear, or comfort can keep you tied to cycles that delay your growth. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you recognize that their path and yours are no longer aligned. If you're climbing higher but your circle is content with staying low, you will either have to shrink to fit in or make the difficult decision to move forward without them. True love doesn't mean always staying in the same place. It means blessing people even when your paths diverge. The people you surround yourself with either sharpen you or dull you. Iron sharpens iron, which means when two strong, growing, purpose-driven people are connected, they challenge each other to rise higher. But if you spend your time with people who lack vision, who complain, who constantly live in limitation, their mindset will eventually rub off on you. You may start off trying to lift them, but more often than not, their weight begins to pull you down. This is why alignment matters. When you connect with people who believe in growth, their energy fuels yours. When you connect with people who live by faith, their courage strengthens yours. One of the most dangerous traps is believing you can change someone by staying in a relationship that consistently drains you. The truth is, people only change when they choose to change. Your job is not to carry everyone to their breakthrough. Your job is to walk faithfully toward yours. Sometimes your growth will be the very thing that inspires others to change, but if you sacrifice your destiny trying to force them forward, you will both remain stuck. The most powerful thing you can do is set the example by moving forward, even if it means moving alone for a season. Surrounding yourself with the right people doesn't mean they will always agree with you. In fact, true alignment often requires accountability. The right relationships won't let you settle for less than what you're capable of. They won't let you talk yourself out of your potential. They'll challenge you when you're being lazy, correct you when you're being negative, and remind you of your greatness when you forget it. This kind of accountability may not always feel comfortable, but it is necessary for growth. Without accountability, you risk drifting. With accountability, you are constantly reminded of the direction you're called to go. The reality is, relationships are spiritual agreements. When you spend time with people, you're not just sharing space. You're sharing energy, perspective, and influence. If your inner circle is filled with people who think small, you'll eventually shrink to fit in. But if your circle is filled with people who dream big, who believe in the impossible, who live with faith and vision, you will rise to match their level. Your circle sets the ceiling on your growth, which is why you must be intentional about who you allow in that space. It's also important to note that surrounding yourself with the right people is not only about receiving, it's about giving. You must also become the kind of person who adds value, who uplifts, who challenges, who encourages. If you want strong, purpose-driven relationships, you must be a strong, purpose-driven individual. The energy you put out determines the energy you attract. If you want to walk with giants, you must be willing to grow into one. At the end of the day, relationships are either ladders or cages. They either lift you toward your destiny or trap you in limitation. The choice of who you allow around you is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Don't treat it lightly. Protect your circle like you would protect your treasure, because in many ways your circle is your treasure. The voices around you will echo in your decisions, your mindset, and your destiny. So choose wisely because your future depends on it. The words you speak are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every word carries power, and once spoken, it begins to shape the atmosphere around you and the reality within you. Too often people underestimate the impact of their own voice. They think words are harmless, but in truth, words are the very instruments of creation. Long before anything manifests in your life, it begins with what you've been declaring. If you consistently speak defeat, lack, fear, and limitation, your life will eventually reflect those declarations. On the other hand, if you discipline yourself to speak faith, abundance, courage, and possibility, your life begins to align with those affirmations. The challenge is that many people have trained their mouths to work against them. Without even realizing it, they confess failure before they even attempt something. They say, "I'll never be able to do that," or "that's just not for people like me," or "every time I try, it doesn't work out." These words sound small in the moment, but they plant seeds that grow into deeply rooted patterns of doubt and limitation. Over time, those seeds become beliefs, and those beliefs shape actions that confirm the very words that were spoken. It becomes a cycle of self-sabotage, all because of what the tongue declared. But here is the truth. You have the power to break that cycle by choosing your words carefully. When you begin to speak life instead of death, possibility instead of limitation, courage instead of fear, you disrupt the old patterns and establish new ones. Words are spiritual contracts. When you declare something, you are essentially signing your agreement to it. If you speak negativity, you are agreeing with defeat. But if you speak faith, you are agreeing with victory. This is why you must discipline your mouth to speak only what you want to see, not what you fear or feel in the moment. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about creating a higher reality. Life will give you plenty of reasons to complain. Circumstances may tempt you to declare how bad things are, how unfair life is, or how impossible your situation looks. But when you fall into that trap, you reinforce the very reality you want to escape. Instead, you must learn to speak what you believe even when it doesn't match what you see. Speak healing when you feel sick. Speak abundance when you feel lack. Speak peace when chaos surrounds you. This is not denial. It is declaration. It is aligning your words with faith rather than fear, with purpose rather than problem. The key is consistency. Saying one positive phrase once in a while will not transform your life. Just as seeds require consistent watering to grow, your words must be repeated with conviction until they take root. Every day you must affirm your purpose, declare your worth, and speak life over your circumstances. Over time, these words begin to reshape your mindset, and your mindset reshapes your actions, and your actions reshape your destiny. What begins as a simple practice of speaking differently becomes a powerful transformation of living differently. Another important truth is that words don't just affect you, they affect those around you. The way you speak to others can either lift them or crush them. A single word of encouragement can change someone's entire day, while a single word of criticism can wound them deeply. If you want to build strong relationships, strong teams, and strong families, you must learn to use your words as tools of edification. Speak to the potential in people, not just to their flaws. Call out their greatness even when they don't see it themselves. When your words consistently affirm and uplift, you create environments where growth thrives. Guarding your words also means refusing to engage in gossip, negativity, and empty chatter. Every time you give your voice to small conversations, you weaken its authority in big moments. Your words lose weight when they are wasted on tearing others down or rehearsing problems instead of speaking solutions. Discipline requires you to keep your mouth aligned with purpose. Sometimes the wisest thing you can say is nothing at all, especially when the alternative is to release words that destroy rather than build. Speaking life also means speaking with gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from what's wrong to what's right. When you consistently declare thankfulness, your perspective changes, and your perspective determines your experience. A grateful tongue produces a joyful life, while a complaining tongue produces a bitter one. Gratitude doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you recognize the blessings even in imperfection, and by acknowledging them, you attract more reasons to give thanks. Ultimately, your words are mirrors of your heart. If you want to change your speech, you must also change what fills your heart and mind. That's why consuming positive, faith-filled, purpose-driven content is so important. It fills you with the kind of thoughts that naturally overflow into life. Giving words. When your heart is filled with truth, love, and vision, your mouth will speak those things and your world will reflect them. So the challenge is simple but profound. Take responsibility for your words. Refuse to curse your own future with careless speech. Refuse to limit your destiny with negative declarations. Train your mouth to speak only what builds, only what aligns with purpose, only what carries life. Because, at the end of the day, your tongue is the pen that writes the script of your destiny. The story you tell with your words will become the life you live. Focus is one of the most valuable currencies you possess. Wherever you direct your focus, your energy flows, your time is invested, and your future is shaped. The reason so many people live below their potential is not because they lack ability, talent, or opportunity. It is because they scatter their focus across too many things that don't matter. Focus is the power to narrow your attention, to silence the noise, and to pour yourself fully into what truly matters. When you cultivate focus, you create acceleration. What may take years in distraction can be accomplished in months with disciplined focus. Focus requires clarity. You cannot fix your eyes on a destination you have not defined. This is why so many people struggle. They don't truly know what they want, so their focus is easily hijacked by whatever is loudest, easiest, or most urgent in the moment. But when you are clear on who you are and where you're going, you are less likely to be swayed by every passing distraction. Clarity becomes the compass, and focus becomes the vehicle that moves you toward it. Without clarity, your focus will always be fragile. With clarity, your focus becomes unshakable. But focus is not just about saying yes to the right things. It is about saying no to the wrong ones. Every yes is also a no. When you say yes to scrolling endlessly through social media, you are saying no to progress in your purpose. When you say yes to pleasing everyone else, you are saying no to investing in your own growth. Focus demands that you become intentional with your yes and unapologetic with your no. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. You only have a limited supply of time, energy, and attention. To waste it on what doesn't matter is to rob yourself of the future you were meant to live. The power of focus is that it multiplies results. Imagine sunlight passing through a window. It provides warmth, but it doesn't ignite anything. But take that same light and run it through a magnifying glass, and it becomes concentrated enough to start a fire. Focus works the same way. Your life may be filled with light, energy, and effort, but until it is concentrated, it will not ignite. When you focus on one vision, one goal, one purpose, you unleash a power that scattered energy could never produce. Focused effort creates momentum, and momentum creates breakthrough. Focus also requires discipline of the mind. Your thoughts will always try to wander, and your emotions will always try to pull you off course. Focus means bringing your thoughts back to what matters every time they drift. It means training your mind not to dwell on problems, but to dwell on solutions, not to rehearse fear, but to rehearse faith. Focused thinking creates a focused life, and a focused life produces fruit. This discipline is not easy, but it is what separates the average from the extraordinary. One of the greatest challenges to focus is the addiction to busyness. People confuse movement with progress and activity with productivity. They pride themselves on multitasking, yet wonder why nothing significant gets finished. True focus means prioritizing depth over breadth, doing fewer things but doing them with excellence. It means choosing to master what matters instead of scattering yourself across everything that comes your way. The truth is, multitasking divides your energy and weakens your impact. Focus multiplies your energy and amplifies your impact. Focus also requires patience. In a world that celebrates instant results, focus demands that you stay committed even when the fruit takes time to appear. Seeds do not sprout overnight, and visions do not manifest instantly. Focus is the ability to keep showing up, keep working, keep believing, even when you don't yet see the harvest. This patience separates dreamers from doers. Many start strong but lose focus when results are delayed. The ones who keep their eyes fixed, who refuse to be distracted by delays, are the ones who eventually reap the reward. Finally, focus transforms you into a person of influence. People are naturally drawn to those who are clear, committed, and purposeful. When you live with focus, you inspire others to rise above distraction and pursue their own clarity. Your life becomes a model of what's possible when energy is not wasted but invested. Focused people don't just reach goals, they create legacies. They leave behind a trail of impact that continues long after they are gone. So the question is not whether you have the ability or the potential. It is whether you will have the focus, because what you focus on, you become. If you focus on problems, you'll live in problems. If you focus on purpose, you'll live in purpose. Your future will always follow your focus. Guard it, protect it, and direct it with intention, because focus is the bridge between where you are and where you are called to be.